Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everyone. Miss Natasha here. I hope you're doing well. I am a mental wellness creator, advocate, speaker, and author, and um the creator of the Create Don't Hate show. I'd like to think on a couple of words that I thought of for our guest today. And the words that I thought of was kind. And then another one is willing to roll up her sleeves and get the job done, which is not really a word, but that's what I thought of.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm gonna say this also, even though I don't really know you, I'm gonna say loving because you even gave me a chance, and it has to be someone loving to give me a chance. So,
Yeah,
I'd love it if you would tell us who you are and what you do.
for sure. Hello, and thank you for having me. It was great to meet you at the event. It was a Black BLK something market, something awesome at Centennial College a couple of weeks ago. My name is Kristina McPherson. I am a Canadian immigration coach, author, and speaker as well, and a mental health advocate that serves the Canadian immigrant community. I came to Canada as an immigrant 10 years ago, went through the immigration jungle, know what it feels like, and have decided to serve that audience and those people because I know what I would have wanted when I came as an immigrant 10 years ago and continue to be an immigrant and to still needing support. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Yes, you are a champion.
Yeah.
You are a champion. So I'll get to it. Did the industry you're in choose you, or did you choose the industry?
So I guess, so I came to Canada as an immigrant 10 years ago. And coming to Canada, I am coming with a bachelor's in architecture, coming to do a project management course. So I'm in the construction industry for the most part, right? However, coming as an immigrant, I had so many hurdles just to even get here. My first visa was rejected. When it was finally approved, I got my visa the same day I got on the plane, the same day, like within the same 24 hours I attended school. Really crazy story that was the kindness of somebody else kind of made that come to fruition that way. And then I'm here studying project management. The goal is for me to go off into the world and be awesome in the construction industry. And just my experience as an immigrant just made me realize that one, there's so much like missing information between the black and the white. So many misconceptions, so many scammers out there, so many different things that kind of piloted me towards this industry first as a hobby because I just started out sharing my story on YouTube, built up somewhat of a following and did like really built a much of a passion and a little obsession for Canadian immigration and pivoted in that direction post COVID. So I did stay in the construction world for about 8 years
Mm,
and then pivoted towards this, which I it's way more, I find more like passion
mm,
for this industry because like you're dealing directly with people's lives, which is sometimes scary, but also you can make an impact. My platform is called As Told by Canadian Immigrants, but sometimes I like to say it's as told by experience because we're just teaching each other from our real life experiences. And sometimes that's the best teacher. I can save you some money by telling you that I did this and I got it wrong. So don't do that. And so I chose it after it chose me, I guess. And then just followed the path and here I am.
yes. I have one question that says, did you go to college or university for your current position? But we realize as we're speaking that you didn't. So, and it is mainly that inner drive that's propelled you into this space.
hmm hmm
So I will bypass that. I will bypass that.
Well,
Um,
I can answer that to some extent
yeah.
because though my background is in architecture, project management, everybody is a project. People, their life is our project. And so the project management side of me has really helped me to kind of hone this. And now I'm formalizing my Canadian immigrant education in school. But before now, it is a lot heavily researched,
Mm.
a lot of like networking and finding out from industry professionals and partnering with industry professionals who can then give me the information, but also can verify the information that I believe I already know because I navigated the immigration waters largely on my own. And so I did learn informally through experience,
Mhm.
going through the immigration jungle from international student. My first book is called From International Student or From Foreign Student to Canadian Citizen and everything in between. And I did a lot of that on my own. So informally education, now I'm formalizing my education. And project management is kind of applicable in all industries. So sort of.
It is. It is.
Mhm.
Wow. Thank you for that because that just made it like it still was answered.
Yeah.
What are some skills that you use the least within your chosen field?
Oh, what skills do I use the least within my chosen field?
Mhm.
Probably all of the O level and A level mathematics that we
Mhm.
learned in school. And you're like, when will I be using differentiation and integration? Never. Okay. So some of that stuff. What skills do I use the least? I guess, because, I'm now in more of a social science
Mhm.
in Canadian immigration and such, coming from a very technical background where we're talking about the built environment, which has an impact on the social sciences, but the technicalities of it. So I use less of my technical skills of how to construct a building.
Mhm.
Um, but in the same breath, there's sometimes I coin what I do as a solutions architect, right? Because just like how you have to think about a space and you have to figure out what fits where and all of that, you still think about the immigration landscape and who fits where to be, where not to be. And I'm constructing immigration solutions to some extent, and I'm able to really analyze and dissect the direction that the immigration people are going in. I'd say that my technical skills kind of lend over to there, but definitely no integration, no differentiation, no square root, none of that stuff.
None of that.
No using a calculator, even we use some Excel spreadsheet, but that's it. Yeah, I think yeah, that's what comes to top of the mind. But maybe because I'm bitter, because I didn't like in school, and you're like, when am I going to use this ever? I had
Exactly.
to study for all these exams. So that's
Exactly. Okay, we're gonna get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty now.
okay.
What do you do to demonstrate that you're grateful?
Well, when I woke up this morning, I did pray and say, you know what, thank you. If I woke up this morning and thank you that I have this opportunity. Um, I give back,
Yeah.
as a form of the blessing that I've received. Just the other day we had a sports day event. And a lot of what I do actually, even when I started my YouTube channel, all of that work was free work because I am grateful to have gotten to this point in my journey.
Mhm.
10 years ago, I couldn't see this,
Mhm.
I couldn't see beyond all of the immigration paperwork. And now that I've come through the thick of it, I'm grateful for it. And I'm like, how I do it is pay it forward and give back. And we have an event, free event, partnering with local partners. Come out, have some fun. We did a sports day. So come out, have some fun, meet some people, eat some food and all that stuff. And because yeah, each one reach one. So that's how I do it. I pay it forward.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. Do you have meaningful relationships and how do you nourish your friendships?
I do have meaningful relationships. Probably, you know, I can count them on my hands and stuff like that. But um, it's interesting because that's a really good question for an immigrant, even. because
Mhm.
you come here and you're kind of reestablishing roots. And of course, you can maintain meaningful relationships long distance, which is a little bit harder. But of course, I have my immediate family, I have my sister, my parents, and stuff like that who are back home in Jamaica.
Mhm.
But for the small community that I have here, a lot of it is in my church, and
Mhm.
so there are get-togethers that we have. We stop by at each other's homes or different things, hang out. And but I think a big part of maintaining meaningful relationships is taking initiative because we're all adults, we're busy. I have a 4-year-old, right?
Mhm.
The large part of my support system family is outside of the country. So it is, when you find those gems, you kind of just take initiative. You take the time, you make the time, a text, a phone call, whatever the case may be. I do quite a bit of networking. This year has been the year of networking so far. So then there's meaningful relationships on a personal level, but there's also meaningful relationships on a professional level. And it is one supporting their business, but also, I just came out of a meeting with somebody who is in the industry who I've just met, but it's being open to networking. I'm talking to you right now, right?
Mhm.
And it's making time, and it's doing these things and networking, and then just maintaining it over time with a little contact, or so sending people their way. Um, yeah, that's how I've been doing it, I think.
Man, thank you. All right. And another question I have for you is, in your opinion, how does one become great?
So in my previous life in the construction world, what I found is that it's funny because even though I'm out of it, when I walk around downtown Toronto or stuff, I see stuff and I'm like, oh, that's not. I'm talking about stuff that is from my previous life, and it's like how I did well in that industry, right? And even in this one is one, like your work ethic is genuine in terms of what you're doing, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, how much you put into learning and growing. And so when I was in that company, I grew pretty quickly because my work ethic is generally passionate, right? I can do most things like once I like it, passionately. And I invested a lot of time, whether it was intentional or unintentional, or just because I had to do the work. And I gained mastery over time, just perfecting my craft, but also learning, being open to learning, and really associating with the people that know,
Mhm.
right? So hang out with the people that know,
Mhm.
or hang out with the people that want to get to, or are at where you want to get to. So there's this thing called define what you want, learn from somebody who's done it, and then set about to do it. And so throughout a lot of the things that I've done that I've been able to do well, I don't want to say that I was ever great at. I'm too humble. But I did pretty well at those things, and even in this Canadian immigration stuff. And it's just like I studied a lot, I learned a lot, and taught. When you teach, you kind of know, you reinforce what you know. And I have good mentors.
Yeah,
I think that's a very important thing. That's culturally is not a thing,
yeah,
like what's a career coach, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But now, being open to that idea of getting feedback, of getting help from people who have the success that you want, so that you can replicate their success or make your own pathway, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel because, it's probably been done already, and just learning from somebody who's done it. So that's what you do.
That's exactly like why I do this. Because I get to understand another person's way about certain things,
Yeah.
or to avoid, or
Mm-hmm.
avoiding, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That's
I
told
hope
by
that it
experience.
helps. Yes. And I want it to also be a driving force for another,
Mm-hmm.
just like yourself with regards to your book and what you do for other people. It is one difficult piece of something. Like even when I was in school and I was finishing up, and people coming in, they have to pay double.
Mm-hmm. Triple.
And then they have to like I have the part-time campus job, but this is like for my livelihood, but this is like for their livelihood. Like
Yeah.
it was a totally different like experience. And then plus focusing on school, they have to
Mm-hmm.
focus on school. So it's a lot of wear and tear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where when you talked about mental health piece, I was like, I was sold from you started speaking, by the
Yeah.
way. But when you said the mental health piece, I'm like, absolute, because I was starting to do research and I've already lived seeing other people in my life go through this struggle. Who are
Mm-hmm.
you turning to?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do, they could be swindlers.
Yeah.
So, oh, mercy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's rough out there in the streets sometimes. And, like even right now, the landscape of Canadian immigration
Even
is
more
changing
out.
weekly. And it's almost as if, of course, our immigration minister is not an immigrant. So maybe he just doesn't get it. And maybe all of the people making these decisions don't really get it.
Mm.
And just understanding that, behind all these policy changes and all these little announcements that seem to be in line with the political agenda are people, you
Right.
know, are people hanging on by a thread. There's a term that this term that I've coined, post-immigration stress disorder. When you're in the immigration jungle, you're in survival mode for like a good 3 to 5 years. Just looking forward to stability in your life, like knowing where on earth you're gonna live in the next year, knowing where you are going to be in 5 years, because with these changes could alter the entire direction of somebody's future right
And
now.
the
Like I'm
future
seeing
of their
people fall out.
family,
Yeah.
and their families.
hmm And people are falling out of status. That wasn't the plan when they came here, right? And so, like, somebody literally messaged me last week who fell out of status, had to leave Canada. And she was like, yeah, we're just looking for some stability right now. We just need some stability right now because you're grown. By this time, you'd hope that life would have settled down, and it's not. And they're not making it any easier. And I'm not saying that they should make it easy, but they should be considerate of the people that are behind all of these announcements, holding on by a thread. Um, when I was going through my process, I remember my god brother called me in like February, March, and he's like, "Are you coming to Jamaica in the Christmas?" And I was like, "Look here, there is a permanent residency application in, and it's like a brick wall in front of my face.
I can't even
I
tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen in Christmas. It's too far away. Ask me
Mm-hmm.
about tomorrow."
Mm-hmm.
And I felt anxious in my body. I felt like worried, like just I don't know what my life is gonna be in December. Can you not ask me about December? And that's what's happening right now to people, even worse than when it was my time.
Yeah. I, I I hope and pray that the people who govern these spaces have the mindset to ask other people if they don't know, and not just to run to do what they think is the next best thing.
Yeah. I'd hope and pray that too, but I've little
Yeah, yeah,
little faith that they will. I think the best thing that we can, like what I'm trying to do, of course, is educate people as early as possible so that they don't put all of their eggs in one basket, because that's what happened, right? And it's just like knowledge applied is power, right? It's because you have to protect yourself against these, because I don't think it's ever gonna stop, especially on a political level. They're not gonna stop. But we as in immigrants, if you're a newcomer and watching this, can prepare yourself through information.
mhm, absolutely. I have a question for you. I think it would align with what we're speaking on. How do you navigate hope?
God. God. Um, Because even what I said just now sounded very
Mhm.
hopeless to some extent, but I think it's just realistic to
It's
some extent. But
reality.
it's reality, you know. But I mean, I put a lot of faith in God that, you know, sometimes the things that we want aren't necessarily the direction that we're supposed to be going in, right? We have these big, mighty plans for our life, but there is a greater power at work. And
Mhm.
sometimes things are divine redirection, right? So if you were on your Canadian and immigration journey and it never worked out, maybe that wasn't a direction that was ordained for your life. And we have to trust that even if we don't see it right now, there's a greater purpose or a greater meaning that will come out of whatever disappointment or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So it's really just putting it in God or creator and just, you know, trusting as best we can. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes I don't. Right? Sometimes it's really hard. You're like, God, today, no.
Now, right now.
But yeah, but then you come back down to earth, you get realigned with your wise self and just be like, you know what? Maybe this isn't what was meant for me, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. All right. Um, how do you maximize the return on your time?
I maximize the return on my time. I don't know. Give me an example. I
Hmm,
don't know.
I guess like for me, I can think about what I'm gonna write while I'm doing while I'm on my trampoline.
Okay. How do I maximize the return on my time like that?
So I'm
Okay.
exercising and working kind of at the same time.
Got it. I think time right now is I'm still working on my relationship with time.
Oh, yeah,
It's a balancing act. You know,
yeah,
I have a 4 year old
yeah.
and I'm a momtrepreneur. And when she comes home, the office have to lock
Mhm.
because there's no competing with her. There's no competing with her.
Mhm.
And so it's definitely something that I'm trying to figure out how to be a steward of the time that I do have during my office hours, which is usually when she's at school.
Yeah.
And when she's home, how do I, you know, honor her? One of her love languages is quality time.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm by my computer and she's like climbing all over the chair, all kinds of crazy things. And I'm like, girl. And then I have to be like, oh, wait, this is kind of her time. So I'd love to say that I maximize my time by doing this, this, and that. I'm still figuring out.
Mhm.
So work in progress, in progress, in progress, because it's new to me. Even though she's 4, you know, each stage has been different and I've not always been an entrepreneur and all these things. I'm trying to put systems into place so that I can
Mhm.
ride and whistle, like you say.
Mhm.
But one thing I can say though, as an entrepreneur, sometimes maximizing on my time may mean outsourcing something that
Mhm.
needs to get done that I know I can do, but like maybe maximizing on my time is paying for somebody else's time.
Mhm.
And that's what I've done where I've needed to. It's like, okay, I can do this, but I also can't find the time to do it. So I'll pay for somebody else to do it. So
Mm.
that's how I'm doing it sometimes.
I love it.
Yeah.
And my last question will be, what have you done for yourself in the last month?
That's a good question, especially after that time
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, where do I find time to work and be a mom and
Mhm.
wash the dishes and do laundry and do all of these things and be an adult in?
Mhm.
What have I done for myself? You know what? You know what I did? Well, at least I got assistance with doing it, but you know, it's August was like a crazy busy month, right? I did some exams. I had to do 4 exams. I passed those exams.
Mhm.
I launched a masterclass, a Canadian immigration masterclass. I did a 30-day social media challenge and I made it to day 30. And I also did an exercise challenge. I made it to day 30. And I'm like, after this, I'm going to celebrate. But then after it, I had like my sports day event. So I couldn't actually celebrate. Well, I could, but I didn't because I had to focus on the next thing and the next thing. And I actually stopped. I did say that if I were to finish a 30-day thing, I would give myself a reward. So I went to Captain Boyle and had a seafood boil. Got my fingers dirty. Well, I need to give you gloves. So yeah, so I had the crab and the shrimp and all of these yummy stuff. And I took a break. I took a like a couple like
Good.
I want to say a week off, a mini break,
Mm,
to just be like, okay. So that's what I did for myself. I went to Captain's Boil and I took a mini break. I can say that.
good.
But sometimes it's a challenge, and I want
Yes.
to implore people, self-care is productive,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is sometimes a mental battle because you're like, oh, but I'm not checking an email, but I'm not doing this. I'm just sitting. You Rest is productive. Rest is not a reward. Rest should be built into your plan, right? Stop and eat. You don't need to eat and work, right? And even like in the Canadian immigration bit, take it when we had a sports day, it was with the mental health component in it is like just take a break for a second, just for one day or for these couple of hours, just don't think about immigration. Come run some races, look at some stuff, be outside for just a second.
Yeah.
Let's just not be immigrants. Let's just be humans.
That's right.
And then let's return to that thing tomorrow. So yeah, rest is important. And I'm glad you asked that question because now I'm going to have to think about what's the next thing that I need to do and prioritize self-care.
I just really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It was so informative. It was so enlightening. It was just so real. And
Mhm.
this is why I do it, just so then I can learn and then others can also feel like they can do what they need to do to succeed as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to say before I say my spiel?
Well, I can share some of the mental health aspects of what I do. So I just talked a lot about Canadian immigration, immigrants and immigrants and immigrants. I do have a platform called Uncover Self, which was born out of an experience that I have that was very traumatizing and very life altering. And then I think that, culturally, therapy is not cool or therapy isn't a thing. Mad people go to therapy is what is there, right? Whereas therapy, just like you going to the doctor or whatever, it's healthy, right? Just like how you need exercise for your body, you need that for your mind and your brain and stuff like that. And so, it's one of the things that I do to unwind because I have a very active mind that's is sometimes hard to quiet.
Mhm.
But if I'm puzzling like a jigsaw puzzle, or if I'm coloring, my
Mhm.
mind can rest. And so, like along on my mental health platform, my first book on that side was on a topic called shadow work, which is really talking about how to uncover our unconscious self, the unconscious things that we do, the things that like maybe we project onto others because of how our trauma has affected us, to things that trigger us and make us activated or angry or reactive, whatever. How do we like understand what's going on? How has our past affected us, and how do we heal that and move forward more authentic, like you said, and a more better version of ourselves? So I did a book in that realm. I'll show it to you real quick here.
Mhm.
So this is book one. This is book one. So my first book was from foreign student to Canadian citizen and everything in between. So for my Canadian immigrant friends who are in school and stuff like that. Uncover Your Authentic Self Through Shadow Work is book one. And it's a workbook and a content book to help you to understand what shadow work is, where did it originate, and how to go about starting to uncover that self. And then book two, I did, like I just said, like if I'm coloring, my mind can set at ease. So I did a coloring book, an adult coloring book and journal. So it's pretty thick. You can probably have it
Oh,
for like a year. And in this, it's kind of like I've focused on seven animals. But sometimes we are our worst enemy. When you think about like, oh, why can't I be more this or why can't I be more that? And sometimes it's easier to relate to something outside of us. So I've taken animals and the characteristic and wisdom of animals. Like if you see a lion, you probably think strength, or you think courage, or you think something, right? And you think about like even like the Lion King when the lion steps up for his pride or whatever the case may be. can we think of like characteristics in animals and try to embody those empowering states within ourselves? And so there's 7 animals in there. You color them, you think about that. There's affirmations, there's journaling prompts, all of that stuff in there.
That's a
So that's
great
book
gift,
two.
people.
Yes,
That is a
very good
great
gift.
gift.
Very good gift.
Okay.
And so this is not yet launched, but this is launching in the next week. But this is more of a blank space journal, right? But very organized because it has like a blank table of contents and stuff like that, a vision board
Oh,
to
that is,
encourage people to dream,
you
but
are.
also to document like what's going on, where you're going. Um, yeah, and what's on your mind. Sometimes if you don't want to go to therapy immediately, you can just write it down. Right? And then on the front, it has like an empowering their self. And you're talking to yourself, you're being your best cheerleader, you are enough. Right? So that's coming. That's not you, that's not available yet, but that's coming within the next 2 weeks. It's in the queue. Yeah, well, I can press this now, but I have to do the whole, let people know about it first. But it's ready to go. Like this is the printed proof copy just to say everything is okay, and then I just have to publish. So this is my giving back to the community based on as told by experience, right? I've gone through some stuff, I've lived through some stuff, I've lived to tell the tale, and here are some of the things that have helped me, and I encourage you guys to do it as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's me
You
in
just
a
made me
nutshell.
remember that this is why I want to do this type of work because of people like yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm happy to have met you.
Oh
Like you said,
man.
that's I'm loving because I gave you the time, but also like you said, you spoke about what you did and you have your book, Autistically Yours.
Autistically yours.
Yes, Autistically Yours, right? I saw your books and saw what you did, and I loved that, you personalized the little notebook that you gave me and different things. Because I think that you're passionate about what you do and you were there, you're showing up for yourself, you're showing up for your community there at that event. And any time of the week, I'll give you my time, of
Oh
course.
man. I really, by the way, appreciate again all that you have put into it. Could you imagine if you didn't? Can you imagine if you just let go? If
Hmm.
you gave up?
Yeah.
You have helped so many people, and it's just like I breathe in, I breathe out, and I'm like, I can do it too.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
because just meeting someone like yourself.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Keep on doing what you're doing too. You're doing it and you're helping people as well. So keep on doing
Yes.
it. I don't know what number am I in the 1,000, but I know you're on
No.
your journey to 1,000. So if I meet
Yeah.
people to add to your 1,000, then I will send them
Yes,
your way.
please. Yes, please. Yes,
Yes.
please. Okay, I'm going to read my spiel now.
Yes.
Um, Create Don't Hate was born out of frustration. The frustration of individuals hating on other individuals with differences. We wanted to start a movement of hope, courage, and love and build community and connection in the process. Create
Mhm.
Don't Hate is a real practical way of sharing hope to those who have been muted and shut down because of who they were. Create Don't Hate was and always will be an anthem that I would play to get through the tough times. So
Yes,
thank you so much.
absolutely. Thank you
And
too.
all your links for those lovely, lovely books will be in the bio in the on the YouTube channel.
Yes, in the description below.
In the description. Here you go.
Yes.
All right.